Hi, everybody. My name is Isaac Johnston.
And I'm Steven Nelson.
And together we are...
The Elephant in the Room. This is a video series in which drummers such as ourselves get together to talk about strengths, weaknesses, and inspirations to help us cultivate growth and a fresher perspective of our instrument.
That is correct. And on our first ever episode of the series, we have my friend, the powerhouse, the legend, Brad Webb. Brad, welcome.
Thank you guys, man. It's good to be here.
That's great, Brad. Unfortunately, this is a show in which we talk about the elephant in the room, the sticky stuff, the hard to swallow issues of playing, whether or not you're an amateur or you're professional. And I think something that every player within that realm struggles with is mistakes, what they are, how do you handle them? And I think that's what really makes a mature musician or even a person at that, at the grand scale. So I'm curious, what does the word mistake mean to you? What is it? What kind of emotion does that bring up?
Well, I like the way that you asked that now. Yeah. I like that a lot better than like what are your biggest mistakes or what are your mistakes? Because I'm at a point where like I don't see things as being right or wrong or good or bad. It's all circumstantial. It all kind of like depends on the scenario. This might be the best action to do here, but doing the exact same thing here will yield not a positive interaction. Even try to come up with ways of saying it where it's like this, like doing this isn't right here, but it's wrong there. No, it's more of just like doing things, and if we're gonna catering it strictly towards music, like making choices musically that allow you to interact with the people around you in a much more positive manner, and also allow people to interact back in a positive manner. So having said that, you could look at different things. You could look at, well, I made a mistake here. This didn't really pan out the way that I wanted it. If you really look at it, your perception of whether that was a mistake or not, or being like, yeah, this didn't really go the way that I planned it, if you keep going back to the origin, which is yourself, and the deeper you know yourself, the more that you start to realize is that you probably set yourself up to make that mistake just by the way that you thought going into it. At that point, what you did is totally irrelevant. What the way that the stick moved in your hand doesn't matter anymore. You set yourself up in a way that, of course, that was going to pan out in what you would call a mistake. Didn't have to be that way. You could have done the exact same thing, but with a different mindset, a bit more being open and a bit more awareness of where that was. Maybe that doesn't pan out in a way that you call a mistake. Some like points, like it's those things of you get a little bit inside your own head. You're like, no, man, this isn't going well. I just messed that up. And then you go to listen back to it, and those moments were like the dopest moments on a record. I went through a decent period of like not being comfortable in the recording studio, and even being a little apprehensive on gigs. And I was in a session with my band Extended, and the second record we did, I was convinced everything from the first day was going to have to be scrapped. I showed up the next day like, okay, cool. Like, we're going to have to plan this whole second day based around, like, re-recording a bunch of stuff.
The mistakes.
And
Sure.
I remember telling everyone, being like, yeah, so, like, what do you guys want to do today? And they're like, well, we got, like, 7 tracks down. We should probably move on. I was like, we can't use any of that. And they're like, what are you talking about? And we went and listened back to it, and it was like, okay, here's the mistake. Wait, no, that sounds fine. Okay, yeah, but I think it was further on the, oh, wait, no. And I realized that I would just, like, in my own head, I had kind of framed, even before the track started, about how I thought I wanted the tune to go. And it didn't go the way that I wanted. And then I didn't perform in a way that I thought based on how I perceive. At this point, what actually is happening is here, staring you right in the face, being like, hey, man, like this is what is.
Yeah.
This is what isn't. You have one or two choices. Be with what is or be with what isn't. And in these moments, these mistakes most often occur when we decide to be with what isn't. And that's how it becomes easy to look at it and be like, well, that's what should have been, and this is what was.
You set yourself
And
up for
you
failure
set yourself
by
up
setting
for
an expectation.
Yeah.
And that's a... Thanks for watching this episode of Elephant in the Room.
Stay up to date with us and follow us on Instagram at TETRNOLA and at Lantern Light Inc. for more.
A big thank you to our guest this week, Brad Webb, and to Lantern Light for making this happen. All episodes and full interviews will be available at lanternlightinc.com. www.elephantandtheelephant.com.
And stay tuned for next time when we bring over another friend to discuss the elephant in the room.